Step into the opulence of the 80s as we transform into Michelle Pfeiffer's unforgettable role as mob wife Elvira from Scarface. Get ready for a blend of allure, attitude, and absolute glam. How do we channel Elvira's 80s glam, and can modern makeup breathe new life into this classic look? I'm Roquel, and today you're in for a glamorous ride as we recreate Michelle Pfeiffer's iconic role on my model Savanna. Drawing from my extensive experience with celebrity looks, I'm unveiling techniques that not only honor this iconic style, but also adapt it with today's makeup artistry. Before we get started, don't forget to help tickle that YouTube algorithm and hit that subscribe button. So I'm gonna start off with the Mario Badescu facial spray in the rose water. Spray her chest and her face. I like to do these kind of sprays before the moisturizer because this will seep into the skin, and then if you put the moisturizer, it'll help push it into the skin better. I feel like if you do the skincare first and then this on top, it doesn't allow it to like absorb it. It'll kind of like just sit on top of the skincare. So I began to apply the moisturizer, and I'm applying it on the sides of her face, a little bit on the bridge of her nose, and a little bit on her forehead. And I'm using my ring finger, and I'm just gonna apply this in an upward motion, following the way that your muscles and your nerves in your face go. You never wanna drag anything down. I'm in with a little bit of a good old rosehip oil. I'm gonna mostly focus this on the high points of her face. I tend to just place this most on the cheekbone. This kind of just is a little bit of like a glowy primer in a way. I really try to massage it in. You don't want the product to just sit on top. You kind of wanna work it into the skin. Put a little bit on the tip of her nose. I won't put any on her forehead because I don't wanna make it shiny. And the rest, I'm gonna just put it on her décolleté. Next, I'm gonna come in with my lip oil, and I'm just gonna use this as a lip treatment, like conditioner. It's so yummy and not sticky at all.
I love it.
How does it feel?
So good.
It's
my favorite.
So I'm gonna start off by using MAC's Soft Ochre Pro Longwear Paint Pot. And I love using these paint pots because it helps me create a nice, smooth, and even base. And if you can see, the color is kind of close to Savanna's skin tone. It's a little light, like a light bone color. And I'm just grabbing it with the fluffy brush. I'm just gonna start applying that all over. This you can place all over, and I'm gonna take it all the way even up into her brow bone. And I'm just gonna take a little bit past her eyebrow. I'm gonna drag the shadow all the way out. It was a very common thing in the 80s. Your eyeshadow would go past your brow almost into your temple. I put it a little bit right next to the bridges of her nose, because this whole area is gonna be very eyeshadowed out. Now I'm coming in with a little bit of concealer. This is one of my favorite tricks. I just add a little bit of layer of concealer on top of the eyeshadow base, and it just creates an extra smooth texture for me. And because these formulas are designed to last all day, they tend to be dry a little bit. So sometimes what happens is they'll get a little creasy or like patchy and dry, which is okay. You can just, like I said, come out with a little bit of concealer and just like lightly even out that base. So now I'm gonna come in with a little bit of a translucent powder, and I'm just gonna set that area just to lock everything in. If I was to come in with like eyeshadows, it would start to just grab like a little patchy in certain areas. So this just helps to ensure really even and smooth application. So for this look, I'm gonna use the Skin by Kim Classic Matte Eyeshadow Palette, and I'm gonna basically stay in these taupey neutral colors. And then just to make it a little bit more modern, I'm gonna add just a little bit of these like yellowy mustard undertones. So the first color I'm gonna pick up is this shade right here, and it's the shade number 4. And I'm just gonna start tapping the color. I'm gonna tap off the excess. So first I'm gonna start applying the color on the outer V of her eye, like right above the lash line. The eyeshadow look in the 80s was very pulled out, but I wanna keep it modern by applying it here and then just kind of lightly carving out like a mini crease. I tend to kind of pull in opposed to pulling out because you wanna create a gradient. You don't want the color to be like a block. You kind of wanna make like a soft, diffused effect. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this shade right here. And it's the number 8. And I'm gonna stay a little bit tighter. I'm not gonna go up as high, and I'm gonna start diffusing that color. What I wanna create is just like definition, but you don't want to smoke this out a little too much. Otherwise you start to erase that gradient you just created. And I'm gonna grab a fluffier brush, and I'm gonna go back into this taupey color, which is a number 4. I'm just gonna start dragging the color out a little bit more. Now that I've created like the depth of where I want the shape to be, I'm gonna focus on creating that snatched, pulled out look. So I'm gonna let the brush just do the work for me. Very lightly, just flick it all the way back. You can see it's starting to pull up the eye, and it looks a little bit like pulled back. And I'm grabbing that same shade in the number 4, and I'm gonna really strategically start working the brush in this area, and I'm gonna start pulling it into the eye socket. And I'm not gonna take it all the way through. Start kind of like sculpting out a crease. I'm gonna grab shade number 2, and I'm just gonna use this as a transition color. And I'm just gonna start sweeping the color all the way through her crease. And I'm gonna pull it in all the way to the inner part of her eye, creating kind of like a moon shape in here. I'm really tucking the color in this area. What that's gonna do is gonna round out her eye. I'm gonna grab the taupe color, which is the shade number 4. I'm just gonna pull from here. I'm not gonna take it all the way up. Just gonna focus the color only on this inner part. Grabbing that same shade number 4, and I'm gonna tuck the color right in this little crease right here. I'm gonna take it all the way up. I'm only gonna leave it in here because I don't wanna round the eye out too much. If you tuck it in this area a little bit, it almost creates a little bit of like a feline feel. So now I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this shade number 7. I'm just gonna lightly do a top lash line diffused liner. I'm not gonna take this all the way up. It's just gonna stay only on the lash line. And I'm taking it a little bit higher than I normally would, but I want to create like a soft, diffused look. So now I'm gonna define that lash line a little bit more. I'm gonna grab the shade number 11, and I'm just gonna come in and just really pack this color in her lash line. I'm almost gonna create a little bit of like a wing. Okay, so now I'm picking up a smaller blending brush, and this is in the number 3 from Sian Richards London. And I'm just gonna pick up the shade number 11 again. And I just wanna diffuse that line that I just made. I'm gonna warm up the shadow a little bit and just gonna modernize it and bring it into 2024. And I'm gonna use this Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics bronzer in the shade Top Down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lightly sweep this mostly in the inner part of her eye, just like right in here. And also what this does, it just helps diffuse any edges that you wanna just make a little bit more seamless. Like one of my favorite tricks to use either a bronzer or a blush, and then it makes everything a little bit more monochromatic. I already finished the other eye off camera. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna curl Savanna's lashes, and I'm gonna use this Tweezerman lash curler, and I'm gonna pump her lashes a couple times. What this does is it moves the hairs around, and it allows for all the hairs to be evenly curled. So now I'm gonna start working the bottom of Savanna's eye. I like to do, when I'm doing a smoky eye, I like to do the bottom lash eye moment too, because you're gonna get a lot of fallout. So if you do it before you do your concealer and your foundation, you kind of help eliminate that like weird gray cast you can create. So I'm gonna grab this tapered brush, and I'm just gonna grab 7. I'm just gonna lightly pick up the powder. I'm gonna pick up the Jaclyn Hill bronzer again, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of that right in the middle, like right in here. Really wanna punch up that warmth, like right by her iris. Spin Savanna's eyelash line, and I'm gonna use my new pencil coming out very soon. It's gonna be like a warm bronzy brown. It's like a really chocolatey, rusty brown. I put a lot of undertones into this one to make sure that when you do a smoky, chocolatey eye, you have all the like bronzy tones. I'm gonna rim the inside of her waterline a little bit. I'm just gonna start rimming the lash line. I'm just gonna come in and just diffuse the liner just a little bit more. I wanna get rid of any lines, soften up the edges. So now I'm gonna start doing Savanna's brows, and I'm gonna use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Palette. I'm gonna pick up the color Taupe, and I'm gonna first pick up the darker shade, and I'm gonna start the tip of the brow first at the top of the arch, and then I'm gonna come in with the lighter shade. I'm gonna start framing the inner part of her brow. I'm gonna grab a spoolie. I'm just gonna brush them all up. Grab a little bit more of the lighter side of the taupe, and I'm just gonna come in the inner part of the brow and start lightly connecting that to the tip of the brow. And brush everything up. By brushing the hairs up, you can kind of see what the brow shape is becoming. Elvira's skin wasn't just flawless, it was radiant, even under the Miami lights. I'm gonna walk you through achieving that velvety smooth foundation with the focus on contouring and highlighting to mimic the dramatic 80s angles and glow. I'm gonna warm up Savanna's skin a little bit, and I wanna go for like a more bronzy finish. So I'm gonna use the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Foundation in the shade Medium 16. And I'm just gonna put a couple of pumps on this fluffy brush, work it into her body. I like the finish of this foundation because it leaves a very like dewy, glowy texture. And since I put some rosehip oil on Savanna earlier, it just allows me to like blend everything, leaves like a very nice, glowy finish. I'm gonna start Savanna's face foundation, and I'm gonna use the brush 972 from Balladium Tools. I'm gonna pick up that Pat McGrath foundation. I'm really gonna mostly do the perimeter of Savanna's face because I wanna warm up her complexion a little bit, just for like that bronzy, glowy look. Really what I wanna just achieve is kind of like a sheer veil of color, warmth. I'm not really going for coverage yet because in that era, they loved the sun, and they were in Miami, so definitely we're in the sun. I'm gonna move into spot conceal areas that I wanna do add a little extra coverage. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight Savanna's face, and I'm gonna use this foundation from MAC in the shade N5 in the Studio Fix Fluid. And I'm just gonna put a couple of drops in the back of my hand, and I'm using this Balladium Tools brush in the number 135. I'm just gonna basically come down the middle of her forehead, do a little bit down the bridge of her nose. From here, I'm gonna start placing it underneath on the sides of her nose, and I'm gonna start pulling it down here. So now I'm gonna use this as a little bit of a brightener. I'm gonna come down here and start cleaning up the under eye. I'm gonna use a brush to kind of cut into the sides of it a little. It's kind of like reverse contouring. It almost acts like it's a little eraser, so it cleans up all the under eye. I'm building out the foundation a little bit, the Beauty Blender. And I'm gonna lightly start to diffuse that edge of the line that we put there earlier. Start and lightly blend out the highlight on her nose, and I'm gonna start detailing the skin a little bit. I depotted my Shinto palette, but it's basically the Shinto one. I'm gonna use it to basically spot conceal. I'm just gonna come in areas that I wanna like add a little bit more coverage to. Stipple the product in there. I like to work with the cream foundation for spot concealing because you get a little bit more coverage. And then once you come over with powder, you're able to just like lock that in. So I'm just doing a fresher complexion because I want it to feel a little bit more editorial and fresh and summery. So Savanna has a little bit of a burn right here. See like how quickly that disappears.
Really Iron Bird.
I'm gonna come in with a little bit of a setting powder. And this is the MAC Studio Fix powder. And I'm gonna grab these two shades right here. I'm not gonna powder everywhere because I want to keep that like dewiness. Right in here, mouth. Also just kind of helps to brighten a little bit. I'm gonna put it right here and this just helps to like brighten and open up the eyes a little bit. I'm gonna grab these deeper shades and I'm gonna kind of bronze the sides of her temple because I used to do this snatched up angled eyeshadow look. And then I'm gonna lightly start to like bronze her cheekbone, connect that and then connect it to her forehead. And I'm gonna pick up the Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics bronzer again. And I'm just gonna lightly toast the eyeshadow in this area and I'm gonna pull it up from her brow bone, or the edge of her brow bone into her temples. This is just like a way of pressing the product into the skin, but not moving it too much because if you do like circles, you move the product over, but stippling kind of just allows you to blend it while laying down the product.
Coming up after the commercial break.
And now we're using that Peachy cream blush.
And then I'm gonna pop that right on top of here. So now I'm gonna use the Dolce & Gabbana mascara in the Volume Extremo. And I'm gonna start building up her lash. Because I wanna keep this look really soft and editorial, I'm gonna use these Lunar Light lashes. These are my lashes from L'Oreal Beauty. I'm gonna pick up the medium cluster, which is this lash, and I always pull it from the base. You never wanna pull it from the middle because you end up breaking the cluster. Pop it right on the outer part of her eye. Boom. And then I'm gonna grab another medium cluster. I'm gonna place it right next to that one, pinch them a little. And I'm gonna grab a longer cluster. I'm actually gonna place that one a little bit more into the inner part of the eye because I'm trying to round her eye out a little bit. This area just creates like a wispy effect. Yes, honey. So it's two mediums, then a long, then a medium, and then another medium. And what that does is it basically creates like a nice wispy effect. As I'm getting into the inner part of the eye, then I wanna stick to just using the shorter ones. Push them up a little once it's drying because then it lifts everything up. I want to add a little bit of like a cat eye vibe, so I'm going to add some Aurora Lights, and I'm just going to use some shorter ones. So second from the shortest, and I'm just going to pick that up, and I'm going to pop it right, not all the way toward the end, but like a little bit more, because if I do it all the way to the end, it kind of makes the eye look a little droopy, but if you put it right before the end, it creates like a little lift. Now I'm going to put a short right next to that one, and that creates like a nice little snatch effect. So now I'm gonna come in with the Dolce & Gabbana Glow, put a little bit on the cheekbone. I'm gonna bring that same texture and luminosity right there. Adds like a really nice glowy effect. I'm gonna do some on the tip of her nose. I'm gonna do a little bit on the tip of the brow bone. This looks so good. Gorgeous, honey. So now I'm gonna start doing Savanna's lips, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lightly dust it with some pressed foundation powder. What this does is it just basically creates a nice and even texture for when I'm gonna come in with the lip products, and it kind of neutralizes the lip a little bit. And I'm gonna use my lip liner in the shade Alignment. And I'm gonna use this color because it has a little bit of like a browny red undertone, not super brown, and it's not like super red. I like this as a base for the color of the lip that we're gonna do. A little trick that I like to do, if you make a little mistake, how I did here where I went a little low, what you do is you grab the brush and you lightly feather it up and it cleans up that edge for you. I'm gonna start detailing the other side, start lining the top of her lip, and I like to overline a little bit to keep its bow. I'm gonna round this out, feather this in a little bit more right here. Just wanna create like a little ombre. That's how we're gonna make it a little modern. Oops, I made a mistake right there, but it's okay, we can clean it up. Boom. And let me do the other side. Alignment is that girl, honey. Finish off Savanna's lip, and I'm gonna use this Dolce & Gabbana liquid lipstick in the shade Henna Rosita. And I'm just basically gonna apply it right in the middle. And I love this color because I feel like it just is very much the undertone of what they were wearing back then. It was like a reddy, bricky color. And the reference of the Michelle Pfeiffer lip was kind of like that vibe. So I wanted to stick to that color, and I think this is so fitting and so perfect for that look. So this is the final look. Doesn't Savanna look so good? To achieve this look, you don't have to obviously cut your hair. That's what we did with Savanna. We used a wig and we just blew it under to create that tapering under bob look.
You're always hungry. You should try, darling. So you want to dance, Frank, or you want to sit in a prototype? It looks like somebody's nightmare. I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing. But I'm bored. You're gonna drive around with a
Yo, thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one. What?
It's fine.
So I have to burp. I want you to smell my sausage I had for breakfast.
I don't.
Not that kind.
I don't.
No, definitely not my sausage.
Sausage.
Experience. Oh Lord, hold on. Of course, I had a burp right in the middle of
I
that.
heard that. Keep saying session like that.
Because he's Latino.
Session.
Button.
Buddy.
It's not a crackhead burn. It's not a.
Oh my God.
That's sweet. I like it.
You're fake.
Oh, wow. Excuse me. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in the middle, and I love this color because I feel like. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply the lipstick in the middle.
Listen.